you know, last time you were here, we take a general assessment on Nigerian startup ecosystem. But within that time and now, what has changed or what has really improved? Can you take us through on that?
Okay, one of the things that has really changed in the startup ecosystem is women are now being more inclusive when it comes to funding, right? So you have a lot of incubation programs that are tailored towards female startup, right? And so it's fostering more and more growth in the startup ecosystem. And so we have a lot of innovative ideas by women who are now taking on this male-dominated field, right, and breaking the barrier and coming up with innovations that are actually contributing to economic growth.
Interesting. But other thing many people want to quickly understand when you talk about startup is that, you know, the last assessment you give, and just what you have just said, collaborate that there is a bit of change, there is a bit of innovation, there is a bit of improvement. But critically, what has been your other, review of the startup ecosystem of Nigeria?
Okay, so like I said the last time, the startup ecosystem of Nigeria is actually growing. We're seeing a lot of innovations, youths, entrepreneurs, both male and females, are coming up with innovative ideas that are disruptive and have really rapid growth plans and affecting the economy, right? So, but the challenges there still remains, which is the challenges of funding, infrastructure, and government policies to aid the growth of these startups, right? And so, when it comes to the women, the major challenges we see among the female ecosystem is number one, the cultural and societal bias that things that a woman should be under, that thinks that a woman should be in the home front, taking care of the home front, that thinks that a woman shouldn't be the boss. It's always like, oh, the men are the head. So even in business, this societal bias still exists, making it difficult for women to really penetrate. And this also brings about credibility. Women have to work twice as much as the man to be able to gain credibility in the startup ecosystem. So it's easier to trust a man when he comes up with an innovative idea than to trust that a woman can also succeed when she comes up with the same idea.
Let me cut you in there. When you say a man can be trusted when it comes to innovative ideas, what really made that possible? Although you made mention of the societal barriers, but from your own perspective, as someone who have been dealing with the women, dealing with men in this particular sector, what informed that?
So what informed that is it's not even just limited to the startup, it's generalized. So like I mentioned, the societal barrier, that things that women should be in the home front, taking care of the family. So most times you see that when they want to be a hire in an organization, they want a man or a woman that's not thinking about getting married anytime soon, because they feel that once you're a family woman, you have your husband to take care of, you have your children to take care of, and they see this as distractions. Why the male folks will be focused, even if he's married with 10 children, he goes to the office believing that the wife is responsible for keeping the home front. So that is why the woman, when she comes out with these innovative ideas, has to prove herself over and over again for investors and other players in the ecosystem to be able to trust that this idea that she came up with, she's going to be consistent with it, she's going to be able to sustain it, and she's going to be able to scale the business.
Interesting. But let's go back to the ecosystem and go back to how women are faring in the Nigerian startup ecosystem. You know, many viewers out there wonder when we say startup, and when we mention women. Last time, most of them that are watching what I've seen in the last episode where they saw you, saying all that you need to say, talking about Nigerian startup. But here we're talking about women in startup. What does it really entail? So help our viewers to break it down. Okay,
so a woman in startup is a female entrepreneur or innovator that starts and leads and grows a business that is scalable and innovative. So if you understand the definition of startup like we established in the last interview, it's any business that is innovative. So one of the features of a startup, it must be innovative, which means it's solving a problem, right? It's solving a problem and it's leading to economic growth. Real life problem, a problem that's kind of would address a particular sector that is experiencing some gaps. Example, you've talked about Odunayo of
yes,
Piggy Vest.
exactly.
Right now, she's solving the problem of savings for people, right? So that is a startup. Her product is innovative so that you can lock your funds. Unlike the bank, you have a higher percentage than what you get from the traditional banks. Then a startup must also focus on rapid growth. So there's always an opportunity for rapid growth potentials when you have a startup. If your startup is just looking at survival mechanism, it's not a startup, right? Then also a startup faces risk and uncertainty because most of these ideas have not been tested before. Like I'm sure when she was starting Piggy Vest, it was the first of its kind. It has not been practiced anywhere before. She came up with this idea. Are people going to buy into it? Is it going to work? Is it going to fail? But you see, just like in investment, the higher the risk, the higher the rewards. And when it succeeds, the rewards are always higher. And then startup is also, they depend on the ecosystem like we have established. They depend on the government policies, they depend on investors, incubators, accelerators, and all these other players in the ecosystem to thrive and scale. They also depend on external fund to help them with product development, market entry, because market entry is another big challenge that startups face. You are facing the challenge of, oh, if I come out with this product, will it be accepted by the market? Can I even scale into other African countries and even globally? So when you have funds, it gives you an edge over people who don't have funds to be able to develop your product and keep refining your product. You know, you have your MVP, it's tested, you go back, you make mistakes, you refine, and also helps with market entry. So they depend heavily on angel investors, they depend heavily on accelerators to be able to grow. So if your business is innovative, it focuses on rapid growth potential, it depends on external funding to scale, it depends on an ecosystem, and also faces risk and uncertainty, which makes them very experimental, then you are a startup. But if you are not in any of these 5 features, you're just running a business, you're not a startup.
Exactly, interesting. But for women that you have met so far on the field, what is the reception like when they see people like you coming to teach them, train them on how to grow their business, how to make their business innovative?
Okay, you know, the women were a very special breed of people, and it's a mixed feeling, right? Some are, because of their schedule, become too busy even to make out time for the trainings.
Exactly.
While some others will run after you, will take everything you say, hook, line, and sinker, implement it, and then you see changes in their business. You know, so I've had opportunity of engaging with startups in various ways, mentorships, you know, incubation and acceleration programs, even one-on-one mentorships. Presently, we're on a 5 to 8 weeks training for the women in digital business, and it's just women, and the reception has been great because we're exposing them to different aspects of tech that a lot of people didn't even know about, to help them scale their businesses and go digital, not just local this time around. So it's been, let me say, in the scale of 1 to 10, say 7%. But for the same challenge of time, you know, you have responsibilities, exactly. This work-life balance, it becomes sometimes challenging for them to show up for these trainings.
Exactly. But you've been mentioned of the issues of challenges within this sector. Can you help us highlight some of the challenges?
Okay, the general challenge that even includes the male folks it's funding, funding and infrastructure. So, but for the female, we have seen that a lot of gender lens funding is now coming up, which is good. But before now, statistics showed that male folks had more opportunities to funding than the females. But like I said, we now have opportunities like the this African Development Bank, you know, and the Bank of Industry that have a program for women, and so many other organizations like the Women in Digital Training I just talked about. We know about Ifoma Udo of Shicluded. She is focused on women and giving them access to funding. Same with Mamoni, that Nkem Okocha. They're all focused on raising funds, giving access to funding to women. So that, in a large scale, is being addressed as we speak on different levels. Okay, so secondly, the challenge that women also face, like I said, startups are a male-dominated field, and they have to fight twice as hard as the male folks to gain credibility and trust from investors. And then thirdly, yes, there are incubation programs and all, but if we can start having hubs that support, that have child support, so that when the woman is coming for training and she's able to know that once I get into this hub, there's a place that supports my child, I can keep these children there and focus on what I came here for. It will be easier for a lot of them. You know, there are times when these incubation programs will require that these women travel. And then if they have families, what happened? We've heard about a lot of prominent people like the Cecil Ibru that will say we had to stay at home first, take care of our children before we started working after they had grown and became independent. Do we always have to wait, take care of children before we start building our businesses? So if we can have a system where they include child support, so even if it's like a crèche or something in a hub, so that when the parents and the mothers are being trained, the children are also occupied. That way, a woman is able to give her full attention to the incubation or acceleration program. So this is another challenge that we have. And so if this can be addressed, the majority of the challenges would have been addressed for women.
Interesting. These are very instructive submission coming from Theodora, and I really want to appreciate you. Although due to time, we may not be able to extend beyond what we have right now. But it's a developing issue. As you rightly pointed out, you are having a training for women on digital sector. We hope to bring you so that you can share your experience with us on that also. It's very interesting that we have that on our shelf as a program, my market report. But I really want to appreciate you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And spending this wonderful time with us, explaining some of these aspects that many people out there will be wondering. Women in startup, she made it simple. It is women entrepreneur, but that entrepreneurship must be innovative, scalable, and she added, what is after scalable? What is next?
It must be innovative, scalable, and must be disruptive.
Disruptive, not negative, but positive one.
Yeah.
Theodore, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much.
I want to appreciate you. We'll be going on a break now so that we can allow Theodore to take her leave. But next, we'll be having Ambrose Omodion joining us all the way from Lagos via our Zoom so that he can help us to explain what is happening in the Nigerian stock market. Let's go for the short break. We'll be back shortly.